everyone, to the Stellanides United podcast, Your Voice Matters, where people share their stories of perseverance. And today, I'm absolutely honored to be alongside two incredible hosts, namely our esteemed and distinguished guests, which are the following. Dr. Professor, Researcher, Dr. George Tsoukas, welcome. Alongside Dr. Oresti Tsoukas, a very extremely talented endocrinologist in the Montreal, Quebec, Canada area. So welcome to both my esteemed guests.
Chiarete. Nice
Hi,
to
Stella.
be
Thank you for
with
having
you,
us.
Stella.
Yeah. Timimu di chiamo. It's my honor to have you both. So really the essence of the podcast today is we obviously know we are currently May 17th. We have, I'd like to talk about the upcoming event, our town hall on May 21st. And for everyone that can see my backdrop, you're going to be seeing it on the animation when the official podcast is going to be out. We represent Team ANAGENESIS 2.0. And we're going to be discussing, we have a very important date, June 8th. It's the elections at the Hellenic Community of Greater Montreal. And I thought, what better way to actually hear firsthand from these two incredible individuals the vision for ANAGENESIS 2.0, the trials and tribulations in the past 3 years, their experience, some of their exceptional, astounding accomplishments in the last 3 years, which I feel have not been reinforced and recognized enough by the general public. And after this podcast, they will. And of course, there's going to be the town hall where we're actually going to go much more deeper into the past 3 years and looking forward. So make yourselves at ease, gentlemen, and let's just start. And I'll start with Dr. Tsoukas. Dr. Tsoukas, thank you for being on this podcast. And
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And just seeing you, how relaxed you are, I guess we're all relaxed. And we're ready to tell the folks that are watching us what's going on. Because, Stella, very few people know what's going on in the community.
So tell us, Doctor. Tell us what's
years,
going on.
the community was sort of in a cloak of secrecy. There was, I don't know, 50 people, maybe 80, that would be going to the general assemblies, etc. So it reached the point where the younger generation, such as my son, George Orestes, and yourself, would walk in and make ourselves known, because there's many, many positive things with our community. First of all, we're a rare community in that we speak Greek in our community. When people go to other Greek communities in North America, few people speak Greek. Everybody has to speak English. The reason we speak Greek is we have very strong school system. A school system that's been very, very domineering in the culture of our whole community, but which is starting to fade away. This is one reason that I thought I would get involved.
And I think the public's also going to want to hear a little bit more about why the schools are starting to fade away, and also what some of your plans would be going forward. We could touch upon that a bit later on. But because obviously the Greek community, we're very, very vested in, how are our churches going to be how they used to be, really at a superior elevated level, similar to our schools, right? The parents are asking what type of services are going to be offered to our children, what's going to happen to the schools, are we merging schools, are we not? I mean, all these topics, are circulating right now, prior to the election and in the past, I would say for the past couple of years and decades, I would say, Dr. and Dr. Oresti as well. Finances, we can talk about the finances as well. So sky's the limit in the podcast. So I would really love if we can talk about, the schools, the churches, the finances, so accomplishments and what the future plans would be.
Sure. So before I allow my son, George Oresti, to speak, the Hellenic Community of Greater Montreal is a merging of three communities. The South Shore, Laval, and Montreal decided in the early 90s to merge and have a stronger saying and a stronger organization. At the same time, I was heading the Homospondia, which is an afternoon school and Saturday school, which we had thousands of students. And we all merged under an umbrella to make our community stronger. But there are many, many reasons why through the years we're starting to have a decline in our student enrollment.
Such as?
One is our school buildings are getting old. There are potholes everywhere. I mean, a few years ago, I had to fundraise to fix a roof. We also fundraised to fix in the Demosthenes School in the backyard. So many parents say, "Oh my God, why are we going to send our kids to these schools?" But on the other hand, our schools are some of the best, if not the best, in Quebec. We've
Agreed.
all excelled, and my motto was excellence as well. And since we took over, we really realigned the schools and bring in robotics and all sorts of other activities. We brought ancient Greek in there. We were able to
The smart board?
those brand new. It's not, they were smart TVs in which the child would say, "You want to see the Battle of Marathon?" The child has a little computer. It's flashed on the wall. They could take it home and look at the Battle of Marathon. It's incredible what our schools are doing. Very
So, doctor, just to clarify, so all this did not exist prior to
well.
your
Our schools have existed since 1907. But I remember I finished Socrates School. There was just a little tiny school in one room that we're talking the 50s now. Nowadays, we have 6 schools, 5 school buildings. We have a high school. In the last year or so, our high school has quadrupled in the number of, but we're still not that many. The day school is about 1,200 students, and the Saturday school is 800 students. This could be double or triple because don't forget, we're a large group in Montreal, and parents have to realize that the education they get in our schools is phenomenal. In
It is.
fact, when I took over, we also changed the head of the school is now Georgia Tsakalis, who's brilliant, and
It's
she
amazing.
to change the schools around. We have individual teaching. We have classes that are 16 to 20 per child, and our fees are extremely low. They're about $4,500. Where I live, next door to me, there's a private school called St. George's School. The
Yeah.
tuition fees are 28,000 a year.
Yeah.
Ours
I
is
was going to say 25,000 plus. Yeah.
Ours is 4,500, but we're trying to limit that price or maybe even lower it once our churches are going, because with us taking over, we are able to change the revenues all around, and suddenly we have a surge in church revenues. Churches are the backbone of our existence. We all believe in our religion, and it's from there we baptize our kids, we get married, etc. And this is a stepping stone. Some people don't want us to have churches in our community, but I think the churches are vital because they're part of this unification of church and school in order to produce Greeks that are proud of their religion, their heritage, and their language. So we've been able to make major changes. And the biggest thing that I wanted to do is build a brand new school where most of the Greeks are, and this is in Laval.
So, doctor, before we get into that, because that's a major project and that's one that actually differentiates Team ANAGENESIS 2.0, which actually stemmed from Team ANAGENESIS 1.0 with your last current and previous 3-year mandate. I just want to clarify to everyone. So, since you being in the chair, you've had an incredible contribution towards the schools, as you just mentioned. So a lot of progress on the innovation side. So we thank you for that. And I think these are important points that have to be highlighted. And also the prestige of our school, right? So I know I have my sons as well, and when it's time for them to write an exam to enter into high school, I know that a lot of the Socrates students pass the exam and are in 100%. So that's
We're
with great pride.
bilingual school with
Trilingual. Yep.
trilingual, an emphasis of Elinomathia. Elenomatia means by the time you're finished, you speak Greek very well.
Yep.
There's been numerous studies that have shown that people who understand and speak Greek have a better concept of abstract ideas. And our kids excel. And I think George Jr. should maybe say a few things about
He will. He
his
will.
Elenomatia and what happened with his Elenomatia.
Yes. Yes. I mean, Dr. Orestes Tsoukas, George Jr.
So thanks. I think what my father's alluding to is the fact that when I graduated high school, I actually went through the process of writing my SATs and I applied to Harvard and got in. One of the
Wow.
reasons,
Wow. I have
yeah,
goosebumps,
yeah.
Dr. Orestes.
Wow. So one of the contributing factors, if I could say, was the fact that I had my Elenomatia, and they really took that to heart and really emboldened my own application at that point in time. But Stella, I think in order to understand our community, we really need to understand the finances.
Correct.
And I think we should really move on to the finances because that sort of will dictate what we can and cannot do in our next mandate when we win these upcoming elections.
And I like that you actually use the word when, because we will win the next elections. And so you all heard it. I mean, this is an individual that got accepted to Harvard. Dr. George Tsoukas, world-renowned doctor, researcher. I mean, these you both are not because we're running on the same team, but you're both. I'm so humbled, and there's not enough words to describe how excited I am and how fond I am of both of you. And it's just something so incredible. And being of Greek origin, the Greeks that are listening and watching to this podcast have to understand that we need people. People I've heard, oh, I don't, you don't have to have a degree, etc. Look, our board of directors is going to be is actually comprised of diverse individuals with diverse backgrounds, diverse education, diverse skill sets. And that's what makes Team ANAGENESIS credible experience. And this is what makes Team ANAGENESIS such an incredible team, one that is a force to be reckoned with. And but actually, I do have to say that once again, I mean, to have a podcast with the both of you and to know that we have an extremely strong chance of winning the elections and making a difference in our Greek community. This is what it's all about, having competent, credible individuals, not individuals that are asked to be on the board of directors with zero experience so that, specific parties can get votes. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be very transparent. It's a podcast, the Stella Leaders United podcast. We actually, and I know the Dr. Tsuka said, Stella, I have so many people coming to me wanting to be on the board of directors. At a given point in time, we had to, actually cut off the deadline because there were so many people that wanted to, not people that were asked and, that had minimal experience. And then, the opposition complimenting their team with some people with experience, and then others that should not even be running again. And all to say that I'm extremely
Stella, you
proud.
don't need experience. You need some
No.
common sense.
Yeah.
And you need, well, as far as George Orest is concerned, he's saying we need some people with financial backgrounds like you.
Yes, correct.
Who can guide us as to because there's various ways of skinning the cat, as you know.
Yeah.
And as far as the finances are concerned,
Yes.
When we took over, people were saying we're going bankrupt. This, a lot of mud.
And actually, they're still saying, Doctor, and I'm
Well,
sorry to interrupt you, but they're still saying that, oh, if Team Anayenis gets, elected, the community is going to go bankrupt. So how do you respond to that? So if we can go to both you and Oresti, because it really touches upon the finances. And but before we do that, I just want to finish my thought that I mentioned before. So our team is a credible team, one with profound experience, but also ones with different ideas, and we have a strategic mindset, and we know based on our experience what it takes to be able to succeed by decreasing the debt, increasing the cash flows, increasing our revenue, being able to get substantial grants from the government in multiple places, which we'll talk about, and namely the community center. So we need to be loud and proud about that. So I think the composition of ANAGENESIS 2.0, seeing the names, and on May 21st, everyone will actually meet the board of directors. I'm extremely proud of the team, Doctor, that you have amalgamated and that have reached out to you to want to be part of your vision. Okay. So with that, the finances are very important. So Dr. Oresti Tsoukas, if you'd like to talk to us a little bit about the finances and what state you found, because you're, just to clarify, Dr. George Oresti and Dr. Tsoukas, is they're on the current board, obviously. And when they came into it, what did you find? Let's be very transparent. And then what have you done to help with the finances? And then where do you see the finances evolving?
So thank you, Stella. In order to understand where we're going in the future, we need to understand our past. And I think it's important to note that when we took over, when we started as the current administration, there was a veil of mystery regarding the finances. We would try and get the bank statements, and the former general director at the time, he was not providing the treasurer all the documents that were being requested. And I don't know if that's a matter of not wanting to or not knowing where all the documents were, or not knowing who was in charge, but it was a mess, Stella.
Oh, I know.
The Greek community has been in a deficit, a huge deficit of between
For
one
how
and a
many
half
years?
to
For
2
how many
million
years?
for at least a decade. And we know this because our current treasurer, Nick Fudas, he actually dug through all the records and found all the, when you actually ran the correct numbers and looked at all the previous financial statements, you could see that there's been a deficit going back at least 10 years. So this is not new. So the question is, well, if there's such a huge deficit, then why hasn't the community gone bust? Well, that's for two reasons. It's been essentially, in layman's terms, it's been bailed out twice. One time, many years back, looking at the Greek state that bailed out the Greek community, and then more recently, during the COVID pandemic, we received the CEWS, the wage subsidies, which was a huge amount, like in and around, I believe it was $7 million. So it was these funds that have kept the community going. But when we took over, we were told that there were millions of dollars in the bank. Literally, this is what we were told. They said that the former administration had been leaving us millions. But there was not millions. There was a line of credit that was owed,
How much was on the line
the
of credit,
deficit was.
How
I'm
much was
sorry?
on the line? How much was on the line of credit? Let's be a little more specific, and I'll tell you why. Because they're saying
Yeah.
that all the lines of credit are inflated now because of the leadership of Dr. Tsoukas and his team for the last 3 years, which is not correct.
No, there was an outstanding balance of 1 million, I believe, on the line of credit. Correct me if I'm wrong, President.
It was a little more than a million, and I think it was 1.7 million.
About 2 million.
But Stella, listen, sorry, I'm interrupting. But what had happened, a lot of this was, put under the carpet.
Yes.
When I took president, I went down to Greece to see what we can do. There was a 7.2 million debt. I got panicky because the Minister of Education, who gives us $5,000 for each child,
yes,
saw that we owed all this money and were very reluctant to keep giving us the money. So my major hurdle was to solve the 7.2 million debt to Greece.
How did you do that, Doctor?
Well, just before us, in 2018, there was a General Assembly trying to solve that problem. So what they intended to do, and actually the General Assembly passed it, but the local administration in Montreal blocked it. was to sell our beautiful land that we have on the corner of Saint Laurent and Sherbrooke Street.
Mhm.
We were going to sell it for $10 million. There was someone to buy it for 10 million. They would give the 7 million back to Greece and the 3 million to the schools. I found this astounding because that piece of land maybe is worth 30 million. It's not worth 10
It's
million.
probably worth between 40 to 50 million. It's
So what I
prime
did
location.
is I went to Greece and I said, what's going to happen? I was not met with smiles, let me tell you that. They said, listen, we know that you're worth quite a lot of, you have buildings, you got to start selling buildings and you have to start giving the money back.
Mhm.
I didn't particularly like it. I came back. I thought and thought and thought. I was trying to figure out which is the way to go. The second trip I made after actually 2 months,
Yes.
I took a member of the so-called opposition with me so people wouldn't say I'm making things up. And this person who knows a lot about financing came, and the Minister of External Affairs, who's in charge of dealing with the Greeks abroad, said to us, listen, we want 1,500,000 a year. And I don't know where you're going to find it, but he asked them to send them a plan of action, how this would happen. This was very discouraging. I came back, and then after a month, I went back to Greece. I said, the heck with this. I better use my connections, and
I love that you're so tenacious. This is
I went to
amazing.
Greece 7 times for this.
So this is leadership, ladies and gentlemen.
And I
This
paid
is
out
what
of
we
my
call
pocket, by the
leadership.
way. People are saying that the community didn't pay us, and I paid out of my pocket for it. So I went straight to the head. I went to the second in command, Adani Georgiadi, who knew as well. And I also went to the prime minister, said, hey, we can't pay a cent. We're not paying, goodbye. And they laughed and said, okay. But don't go broadcasting it because Australia and everybody else in the world want the money. So in essence, nobody asked us for money for years. So that issue is gone. The only
So the
problem
$7.2 million debt, it has been completely erased due to your
gone. It's not in
connections
our
and
bank
intervention.
statements. It used to be in our bank statements.
Yeah.
And the Ministry of Education doesn't see it. In addition to this, we also went to a law firm in Montreal, which said that if you owe somebody money and if you don't ask for 3 years, it's written off. So we have this double thing. The only thing we have to solve, which is in the courts, and in Greece, the courts take forever, is somebody in the board of directors who had signed for this. It's still, they're blocking their taxes, etc., and this has to be cleared. The last George Kotoros, the last Minister of External Affairs, junior minister, who's also now junior minister of finance, he is a lawyer. He said he would take care of this himself. They would take time, and eventually he'll be out of the courts as well. But as far as we're concerned, we don't owe any money to Greece.
Okay.
So legally, so Stella, just to,
Yes, sorry.
if I can chime in.
Sure.
So legally, the Greek state claim has been prescribed. However, we have still a moral obligation as a community to help this person, who sort of stretched their neck out themselves to in turn help the Greek community.
Correct.
So we're not going to give up on this person. We are going to fight for them. But from a legal perspective, there is no debt in our financial statements.
So I'm gonna. This is phenomenal, and President and Dr. George Tsoukas, I just want to say something, because I've been hearing, people and without transparency are trying to attack your leadership, right? Because we haven't, in the past 3 years, you haven't achieved, let's say, the utopia that they want to see. But I have to tell you, leadership like yours is very, very rare. It's exceptional. What you have done, not only by wiping the $7.2 million debt, but also the way you carry yourself, and with the on an international front, the relations that you have with key individuals. I mean, there's not that I can't think in my mind how many people, not even a handful, would be able to accomplish what you're able to accomplish. And to the people watching and to the future voters that are watching and listening, we want someone with the leadership of Dr. George Tsoukas and board members like Dr. Oles Tsoukas
Stella,
and myself.
Stella, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Yes.
my idea is to put the community at a much higher level.
Yeah.
We're just not a little ghetto community. We're an international known community. If you know, if you remember last year, it's
Yes.
unfortunate that the prime minister resigned at the time of our parade. Last year, we had both Mr. Mitsutaki and the prime minister of Canada leading our parade.
That's
This was
huge.
an amman, and not only that.
And Doctor, sorry to interrupt you, it's 40 years that the prime minister had never been to
That's
Canada,
right. Yeah, yeah. So, but getting back when they say I have no leadership, I was in charge of the Homospondia. And when I brought it into the community, the building was worth $1.4 million. A few years later, McGill University, the Department of Hellenic Studies had no money at all to continue. Now they provide teachers for our schools, and it was very important that we continue this. I myself personally raised $3 million for that thing, and there's a chair of that, and it went on. So I'm pretty good at fundraising. The only problem is that when I became president of the community, all this mudslinging and lawsuits and this and that drove me, I had no incentive to go to fundraise. But in the beginning, just before I became, and one of the reasons I went to become the president of the community was that the schools were in dire need. For instance, the Mosteni, the roof collapsed, so we had to fundraise. So my first fundraising event, Pepe thought I was nuts. I said, I'm going to call people to come to a dinner at the community. 1,000.
This is amazing, yeah.
In one night, we raised $300,000. And
incredible.
The Mosteni school now there's some people that are calling the Mosteni parents and saying that the doctor is not doing anything. I fixed all the back at $240,000 to fix the courtyard in the back.
Yeah.
So we were able to fundraise, but not only to fundraise, we chopped $700,000 out of expenses, needless expenses of the community. And we were able to uplift our churches, where churches were in the red. Now they're in the black, and this money is going towards our school. People don't know this.
This is amazing. So doctor, yes, so they don't know this. So I really want you to speak towards the parents of the schools, and not only parents of the schools, but also to the individuals in the Greek community, obviously as a mass, as a whole, because obviously transparency and communicating the reality is what made me, follow your leadership and want to join ANAGENESIS 2.0. So can you please be a little bit more detailed in the sense of what services, like you said, you talked about renovating the pavement in the school. What services specifically have you brought to life in the last 3 years for the schools? And you can also highlight what happened at the Anastasi this year in terms of the revenue that was brought in. What specific change did you implicate in the churches in Laval?
All right, listen, this is a loaded question.
Did you expect anything less from Stalinida?
I would strongly suggest to people who don't send their kids to Greek school to do so. Honest to God, it's going to change their life forever and your life as well. So basically, and again, this is what we're doing. We're focusing on the young children and the elderly. So one thing that I'm very proud of, when we first came in, we told people, listen, we're going to build a new school, and we're also going to start a nursing home as well for the elderly. Now, with all the mudslinging and everything, we weren't, even though we're being promised to get grants, because I went after grants. We went and we can discuss the grants after.
Yes.
What happened, what I'm very proud of having accomplished that no one but nobody talks about, is I brought some doctors in, prime doctors. For instance, Dr. Vicky Baffis, who's very well known in town, she took hold of the social services. we found scorched earth, nothing but nothing but nothing. So what Vicky did, she brought it up. Now we're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we're providing various services for our elderly. And hopefully, we will be able to go into millions of dollars, and using Vicky, using the doctors in their community here, and also some doctors in Greece that we can discuss later,
Yes.
we
Yes.
will be able to eventually do a nursing home. So this, I'm very proud of what Vicky did. The only thing is that people were sort of, things were not done properly. There were mistakes done in the past. I think it was 1992, the community had to sort of distance itself from the social services so we can get grants.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the papers were signed officially, we never said we're distanced. Now we said it officially, but everybody's still under the umbrella of the community, and then it's Team ANAGENESIS who's running the social services. And hopefully, if we get elected, we will continue.
When we get elected.
Stella, I think it's
Absolutely,
important.
we'll get elected.
I think it's important, Stella.
Yes.
Anytime we talk about grants, okay, anytime we're talking about public funds, okay, people need to understand that if the funds are coming from the federal or the provincial government, they cannot be earmarked to a specific community per se. Okay, they can't be said.
That's important.
They can't
Yes,
just.
please elaborate.
So this is, like I said, this is important to understand, okay? Because a lot of people say, well, why would you want to remove social services? We don't want to remove social services. We haven't removed. Legally, if they're separate, then they can receive millions and millions of dollars in grant money that are being given to the taxpayers, right? So whereas you cannot give it to a specific, ethnic community because then it's not fair. Like why would you take public funds and give them to a non-for-profit Greek organization? So, the social services department can choose to do whatever they want with the monies thereafter. If they want to provide specific care to Greek people in need, well, that's okay. But they cannot. It needed to be a separate entity in order to receive that money.
So, you know why I love this podcast? Because information is golden, right? So I listened to the competition, the leader of the competition, opposing party, one of the opposing parties, let's say, and he actually said the finances are a mess. There's no social services. Now, could you imagine for an individual that's actually at their town hall listening to this, believing this individual, and now they're going to listen to this podcast and say, well, hold on a second. We do have social services. And, Vicky has done a tremendous work alongside under the leadership of, President Sukas, right? And the guiding members of the board. So if everyone's listening, please take this into consideration.
There's a lot of misinformation, honestly.
Yeah.
There's so much misinformation, so much mudslinging. I don't understand why this is. But for instance, when I told you I've gone to Greece 7 times, I would go to large foundations and ask for money for our community. When they saw all the nonsense that goes on in social media, they all held back, but they promised me, and I have some in writing as well, that if we do build a nursing home, which we absolutely need, the Italian community has 23, we got nothing. The Chinese has 2 hospitals, we have nothing. The Jews have a beautiful Jewish general, we have nothing. So it's about time we woke up.
It's about time.
It's about time, and people your age, at least their parents, should be taken good care of, and this is an absolute must, and I get very upset when I hear this misinformation. So one thing in our agenda is that, and we've been talking to various groups, and we're going to get the basic funds from large corporations and universities. So that's one thing I'm very proud of.
And how many doctors do you have in your BOD to help you accomplish this?
6 doctors. Now, that brought them in especially, but there's 2 gerontologists there. I'm not going to say who they are, so they don't get inundated with calls. But listen, why are the doctors in our group? They're doctors in there because we need clinics. I mean, One of the problems now, you need a blood test, you can't find anywhere to go. You're trying to find a doctor. It's unbelievable. We will help our community go this way. The elderly in a nursing home and possibly have clinics, which we promised, but because of the blocking, don't forget, Stella, even before we started, they pulled a trick on us and they cut 7 of our candidates out. So we're starting running the marathon with a broken leg. So we weren't able to do the things that we
So
wanted
explain
to
to us
do.
why the 7 candidates. I know, but please explain to why the
I'll
7 candidates.
explain.
Yes,
I'll explain
Oresti.
this
Yes,
one.
Oresti.
So when you submit, so basically when we run in elections, so we form a team, but each person is an independent on the ballot. Okay. So when you go to submit your candidacy to run in the elections, you basically need to meet a certain, you have to fill out a form, you have to provide a passport photo, and you need to submit it before a certain time period. Now, in the bylaws of the HCGM, it specifically states that the application can be submitted by the day end, the end of the business day is what's written, the end of the working business day. So a lot of our members showed up that during the day that the applications were due, and when they submitted it at around 2 p.m., they were told, "Oh no, we're sorry, the working day is already done." But who
Could
finishes
you
their working
imagine?
day at 2 p.m.? This was a trick, this was a trick, and unfortunately, the 7 people were cut. We inquired about, getting a court injunction to maybe postpone or
Yeah.
cancel the elections at the time. That was met with a lot of resistance, and unfortunately, we had to accept. It was a hard pill to swallow, but we had to accept the fact that 7 of our teammates were cut unjustly. And unfortunately, our board was therefore split, and
Yeah.
we would say the sky is blue, and for them it was red.
It was
And
red.
it didn't matter what the subject was. It was purely political
Yeah.
in a sense that a lot of the time they were not looking out for the good of the Greek community, but rather just to
For
block our
themselves.
agenda.
For themselves. And if I can add to that, and again, I mean, I'm an open book. I'm very transparent and very direct. So for me, what aggravates me to the point of, no end is the fact that we have such division within the Greek community, such hatred. We have, keyboard bullies that are nonstop trying to find trivial things and make them like the biggest thing, the biggest erroneous thing that could happen, within a party. I just feel, you know what? Instead of attacking and blaming and this and that, we should be working in harmony. We should all be, feeding off one another's success, feeding off one another's goodness and thelicy, willingness to work together.
Stella,
Um,
Stella, let me tell you on this point.
it just
When I
aggravates me,
became
doctor.
president, Stella, I thought this way, and I invited everybody under one umbrella. The people
Yeah,
thought it was nuts I got the opposite, so-called, they shouldn't be an opposition, it's ridiculous. But anyway,
yes,
let's call it the opposing forces. We put them all under umbrella, gave them posts in there.
yeah,
But it didn't work out because they were there not for the betterment of the community. They were there to filibuster and to
yeah.
block. And they thought that, oh, Tsoukas is a doctor. He's not a politician. He's not going to last very long.
He's not a good administrator.
They're going
Yeah,
to take 3, 4, that's what they were saying, 3, 4 months and they're done and then we'll take over. You see, but they didn't realize that the people behind us are very serious people.
correct.
People you're saying there's maybe 10, 20 people who are very vile and send all this fake news
Yeah,
and
they're toxic.
get people all upset. But the vast majority of Hellenes in Montreal want us to be forward.
Yeah.
This is why I called young people your age. To me, you guys are very young in my age, but anyway, to come and take over. And suddenly everybody said, oh, nobody's going to go because I said we're starting from fresh again. We're not going to go through the same mistakes that we made. We don't want people who had different agendas in the past. We don't want recycled people that were there, never did anything for the community the last 20 years. We want brand new. So we made a call to arms, and suddenly we got 50 people coming, and they're all very excited, as you know. And we don't need all the 50, maybe we need the 27, but we'll see what we're going to do. So
Correct.
it's very important that everybody who's listening show up on the 21st, on the Wednesday, to Ayú Costandino Quetzelenis. We're going to celebrate all the Costa and the Elenis. There'll be wine and cheese there. And there'll be some music. So we're going to have a little party, and we're going to show everybody what we've accomplished, what we're doing, because there's a lot of misinformation.
A lot of misinformation, a lot of ignorance also, and a lot of hatred. And I would ask all the voters, be it whether you're pro Team ANAGENESIS 2.0, whether you're pro Team Pride, whether you're pro Team Community, come to our town hall. It's free, as the president mentioned, May 21st, 6:30 p.m. at the Palace Reception Hall in Laval. You're going to have the opportunity to really dig deeper into the vision of Team ANAGENESIS 2.0. And also, you're going to have the opportunity to meet all the board of director members. And what's important to Team ANAGENESIS and to the president and to the entire board is we want to hear your voice, right? So come prepared with questions. There's no question that's not going to be answered. And we want to be able to have a discussion, a peaceful discussion, not one where individuals are going to be, because I've been to past, this is a town hall, but I've been to a couple of general assemblies and I thought I was going to have a heart attack. Like, I mean, they come there with the sole purpose, with the bylaws in their hand, with the sole purpose of being negative and toxic. And to your point, Mr. President, you were talking about, misinformation. There's so much misinformation. So I think people need to calm down and just keep an open mind and come and hear the message. Stop being keyboard bullies. Stop sharing toxicity. We're Greeks. For heaven's sake, we should not be shaming upon one another. We should be praising one another. We should, we really have to elevate and support one another. And that, in my eyes, it's not being done. Now,
Stella, listen, we've been able to really raise our community to a much higher level. In fact, we would like agree to support us. Now, I have an open invitation to walk into Parliament anytime. Never in the history has the president been
in Greece now.
I can walk into the Prime Minister's office and ask him, we want this, this, and that, and we have. They're sending more teachers, they're sending better books. They're also helping us. We're also doing something that nobody's heard about because it's been kept hush-hush. We have internet teaching for young or elderly kids who want to Greek, and they sign up with their schools. But let's say that if they live in Saint Jerome or Sherbrooke, Quebec, etc., they can participate. And the Greek government is helping us through the universities. So we've really elevated. But the reason I started saying this, I thought of the misinformation. So some of the top-notch Greeks are coming and supporting ANAGENESIS, telling people they should support. One of them said, Dr. Tsoukas is the president of our dreams. Now, the so-called opposition saw this and said,
we're the president of our hearts. It was the president of our hearts.
Whatever it is, I don't watch these things. But anyway, and then there was the chief of AO, this beautiful lady, Angela, who spoke very highly of us. And they said that was AI as well. And when people hear this, I mean, this is very disturbing. And these people somehow should be banned from the community. People who are attacking like this below the belt are not worthy of being, not only in the board of this, they're not worthy of being members of a community.
I agree.
We all have to work together. I mean, now there's many more high-ranking officials in the government who asked me to support. They're all supporting, from the prime minister down, they're all supporting ANAGENESIS. So I don't know, we should.
And I can say, yeah, and President and Dr. and Dr. Oresti Tsoukas as well. If by some chance Team ANAGENESIS does not get voted in, the biggest fear that I have, and that the entire Greek community should have, is that a lot of the projects and initiatives that you have started in the last 3 years will not come to fruition. And I'd love for you to talk about that, namely the community center of Laval, because I really don't believe the oppositions will want to continue with these ideas. And it's not every day that, we get grants from the federal government of $10 million, and we have a community that's against building a community center. I cannot understand, I cannot digest the resistance that you're getting. So please talk to us about, Dr. Risi Tsoukas and
And
Dr.
let me
and the
just say a few
president as
things, and
well.
then George Oresti can take on.
Yes,
Listen, with all my trips and contacts, my aim was to increase the key is our schools and
yes,
also the nursing home.
yes,
So I visited various corporations and others, for instance, the ship owners in Greece and all this. When they look at our social media, they get totally disturbed, and they keep saying, well, when you do start the project of the nursing home, we're here to help you. In
correct.
addition, I got the universities involved, not only in Greece and here. And in our team, this year, we have two professors from Concordia. One of them is internationally known, who, with him, we applied. And for the first time ever, the Greek community was applying for grants for the last 15 years. They got absolutely nothing. We applied for 10 million for a cultural center that could be part of our school as well. And we got the full 10 million. When a lot of the Aboriginal groups found out we got 10 million, they really were upset. They said, well, why are they getting the 10 million? We only got 1 million. Instead of people being proud of all this,
Yeah.
the opposition came and blocked this 10 million, which is just incredible to listen to, and an incredible story. So the idea, at least I'm concerned, is because the community, the young people like you don't know until we teach everybody and have them all come and help out, we go towards grants. So there are grants sitting for us to get. For instance, Hydro-Quebec has a grant of $500,000 to give us. There's some grants sitting with the Quebec government. There's grants from Greece. I have I do once a month. I have the top-notch doctors in Greece
The medical conference.
having medical conferences. And the reason we're doing for all this, because certain groups in Greece, such as the Onassis Foundation, if we continue doing this, they may be able to support our nursing home. So
Correct.
instead of people helping this, they try and pull it down. For instance, I'm trying to do one the next couple of weeks, and there's all sorts of problems because we do once a month. They don't want me to do this. Say Dr. Tsoukas is promoting himself. Eventually, I'm going to get upset and do it under McGill University, and leave the community on the side. So trying to get grants is key, and there's so many grants. In our new ANAGENESIS group, we have Pascalis, I call him Pascalis.
Pascalis, yes.
He's an expert on grants, and he says, come on, we're going to get together. There's like tons of grants out there, which we've been sleeping, and we got to get grants. So I think we're going to start our project with our grants, then go to people like you and the whole community. I'm sure the whole community is supporting us, but in order to do this, we have to get elected. These people, they've gone out publicly and said they're against all these things. So imagine being against receiving the $10 million. This is just, it's not unbelievable.
It's
The word is ksiftila. The word is ksiftila, Stella.
It's a tsiftila.
Because you have to understand, when the federal government is giving a community $10 million, there should be a unanimous approval by the board, and we should be celebrating this. There should not be. It should not be up for debate whether we receive 10 million free dollars from the government. Do you understand how bad that looks in the eyes of?
I understand. And there's two things I want to ask the president. So, President, with the community center, there's been some questions around, well, Is there going to be a school that's going to be built along, attached? Or what is going to happen with the existing schools? Are they going to be sold? Are they going to be merged? So all these questions are circulating. So how would you answer that, either one of you?
Well, listen, the schools are a prime objective. Not only will we build a brand new school in Laval, we will strengthen it and make the schools better where they exist now. The fact of the matter is some schools have classes of 15 children or 12. We're probably going to have to merge a couple of schools to cut down on costs and maybe even lower the tuition fees if we do
Which
this.
makes complete sense.
Yes, there are certain schools that we're spending a lot of money for, I don't know, 100 children. So maybe we can bus these kids. We don't know. But I think with a team like you're helping us build yourself,
Right.
we're so helpful that you brought people from Stellanidis in here as well.
Thank you.
Our people with backgrounds in finance, etc., will be able to finance the schools in a much better way. Now,
Because, Doctor, I just want to say, there is some concern. Let's say if I'm a parent in the South Shore, there's like about 94, 95 students in the school, from what I've seen, oh, what's going to happen? Are they going to close the school? So if I'm a
we're not
parent in South
closing
Shore,
anything down. Come on,
I
we're
would be
here.
concerned. How would you respond to that?
We're here to promote the Greek community, and the Greek community has 3 areas. Now, there's over 5,000 people in the South Shore, and
Yes.
because of all the troubles that we've been discussing, many of them are afraid to go to the community there, because of all the Tsobolyo and the infighting.
Yeah.
If we get some of these people involved there, I think the problem would be solved.
So so everyone listening, if you're a resident in the South Shore community, please come forward. You're more than welcome to participate in the regional board. Your voice matters, your opinion matters. We want diversity across the board as well. And
We want volunteers. We got a group of
volunteers, yeah.
volunteers. Maybe we get, I don't know, 10, 15 people volunteering to see how they're going to uplift our schools. It's true, we're trying hard. It's true, we're making progress, but they can always be better.
Yeah.
So this
Doctor, can I say something now, just before I forget, and we can lead into the community center. So one of the main arguments, again, against you, and I hope you appreciate the questions, because this is a podcast and I want to try to bring questions that, individuals want answers to. So I've heard, oh, you know what, there's so many shenanigans and, these negative things that were being done in the community. And yet the president did not bring this forward or did not expose specific members or whatever the case may be. How would you respond to that?
Listen, Stella, there have been major, major, major mistakes. If we had exposed all the major mistakes, there'd probably be a trustee coming into the community.
And what would that mean for the
That
people?
would mean, probably closing down the community. I'll give you one thing that we have a fantastic treasurer, Nick Fundas. So
Nick Fudas is exceptional.
listen to this. Listen to the people who are running the community, who want to run again to run the community. For many years, they were not doing proper adjustments and deduction at source. Can you believe this? And now we had to reveal this, and now we have the government looking at a deduction source. I don't know what fines we have to pay. So I thought maybe we'll just go forward, forget the past. Otherwise, I know there's been a lot of mistakes. And if we start bringing up the mistakes out here, before you know it, we'd have huge bills to pay. So one reason that we're here, I myself, to tell you the truth, pondered, should I continue being president under all these things? So what I did is I called to action. I said, young people, come and see. So I remember, and you were there, one of the first, we called young people to come and see if they're interested in a new group that had nothing to do with these people in the past that were making the mistakes. I don't understand how these people can still be there if they win again. They're making the same mistakes. So
I think, Doctor, if I can be honest, I'm so sorry, but I don't want this thought to escape my mind. I think a lot of people that know that they were in the wrong, that made mistakes, all stick together.
I'll give you another mistake. Somebody that helped me a lot when I was fundraising was Mr. Mukas. Now
Yes.
he's mad at me because I didn't put people in jail, and he's got another group going. Now, Mr. Mukas is an expert on roofs. So I
Yes.
was fundraising. I tell him, go fix the roofs. So I remember he went to fix the roof in the big hall in the community. And the then general director, whom they have now in their team now, you see pictures of him all over the place, stopped Mukas from completing what his feedback into how they're going to fix the roof. And long before we ever got elected, the roof was done wrong, and now it's leaking. And the so-called opposition said that Tsoukas and his group are closing down the community because the large hall is leaking.
But what is happening there, Doctor, President? Because when I heard the opposition's town hall, they said, "Oh, they mysteriously haven't given us the keys," and it's all over social media how you wanted to close down the Hellenic Center on Walderton. So, what would you say to that?
No, the center is open, but it's not the best place to be in because they're still leaking and the roof has. So what we did is, because we have insurance and the insurance is supposed to pay for this, the insurance refuses to pay for it, saying that the previous administration made mistakes. And now we have a lawyer after them. Hopefully this issue will be solved. But getting back to this thing now.
Yes.
You see, the center in Walderton has a few things in there. It has a cafeteria. It has the big hall. It's got the foyer. So we want to do something similar in Laval. So something that will be next to the school that the school could use. So the new center in Laval that we have the best of the best who organized this. And this is Professor Athenitis, world-renowned, with his group. And what we've done is we have a cultural center, which when we win, we're going to start the next day, is that there will be a theater for 650 people. If you want to go to a theater, there'll be theater. But we can rent this theater to the other cultural
So
groups.
similar like the Leonardo da Vinci Center for what the Italians have.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
We have a theater. We have a gym. We
Yeah.
have a large gymnasium. We have a cafeteria with a little cafeneo, so the others are going to have their coffee there, and talk. We're going to have a library that the school could use. We're going to have a little museum. We're going to have rooms where people can dance. We have rooms for our Boy Scouts to hang out. Now there's a place for them to hang out. And we'll also have rooms for the Silogi. Now renting places all over the place, and they can be housed in our cultural center, a cultural center that can be used by other communities as well, which would be right next to the school. The fact of the matter is that we have money to build the cultural center. We don't have money to build for the school, and the school might be, even though we have a turnkey operation report from large companies to do this, but we don't want to get involved now in the pre-election in the school. We're talking about building the cultural center.
Correct.
And starting the nursing home and starting a bloodletting group in Laval, and maybe a clinic next to one of the churches.
That's huge, Doctor. I can't
help
tell
our
you
population. We
that's
have
huge, right?
None of the other groups have any plans. Tell me what plan they.
I've heard
all they
the
say
town
is we're
hall.
going bankrupt and they're going to save us from bankrupt. This is baloney. We've never gone bankrupt. In fact, we've been pouring in money into. We've increased the way we've streamlined the way the community is working, and with the smart group that we have right now, it can be much better. And I myself, and I'm sure others, now we can, if we go in and there's no, the things that Dr. Oresti had said when 7 people got cut, if our whole team goes together, if we get elected, we will be fundraising in the right places. We're going to get grants, and our community it's already forging ahead. So we started the change, so we continue the change.
I love that. You
The other
started the
thing,
change.
we're
Team
continuing the
Anayansi
change.
started the change, and Team
Change
Anayansi
is a
2.0 will
rebirth of our
continue.
community. This is what anagenesis means. Anagenesis.
Yeah.
Genetic notitamas. And we want
Rebirth.
everybody listening, please come help us. Vote for
Yes.
us. Once we get going, the average age in my group, people look at me, oh, he's elderly, he doesn't know, he's this and that. I'm Trump's age, and he doesn't know what he's doing and all that. So once
But yet today, look who
I
you're
don't have to be
surrounded.
around. You guys can take over. We started this, and it should go leaping forward with a new
Yes.
group that we have.
Thank you so much for that. And I'd love to ask Dr. Oresti, so just a little bit more, if you can clarify to the voters that are listening. Obviously, we want a unanimous win. So what does it look? I'm a voter. I'm gonna be there on June 8th. What does that day look and feel like to me as a voter? What am I looking for on the ballot? What do I have to come to be? Do I have to come with proof of that I'm a membership? And what does the ballot look like? And who should people be voting for?
Okay, so the way it works, Stella, if you live in Laval, you get to vote in St. Nicholas Church. If you live in the island of Montreal, you vote at the Wilderton Community Center. And if you live in the South Shore, you get to vote at the South Shore Community Center. Okay.
And
When
there's
you
one
show
that's
up,
been recently added for the West Island as well.
Well, Stella, that should not happen. This is a curved ball. They're trying to block us again. This is a curved ball that we should not allow to happen.
traditionally, it's always been at the Wilderton Community Center.
The
So why
island
are
of
they doing
Montreal
this?
has to go to one group
So
because in the past there have been all sorts of ridiculous things happening. For instance, taking the ballot boxes and stopping in the middle of the bridge and adding other ballots, all this stuff. And having another center in the West Island is going to promote thievery and inability for us to do a proper count. There's
So
only
basically,
there's only 100 members of the community living out there, and I'm sure you will see hundreds of votes being put. So we should not allow this to happen. So maybe in the next few days we should try and
yes.
stop the electoral committee, which, well, by the way, is overwhelmingly by the so-called opposition.
And where's
This
the
happened.
fairness in that, right? Where's the fairness in that? And we have to amalgamate volunteers from our, Team Anagenesis, the opposition. We want there to be a specific triage when it comes to the ballots and the counting and all that. We want fairness. And I can guarantee, and for everyone listening, that if there's any monkey business that's going to be done, it's going to be exposed. There's going to be cameras everywhere. There's going to be people that are going to be double vetting. So at the end of the day, zero monkey business, zero tolerance. Let the right people win. Make an informed decision. And with this podcast and with the town hall on May 21st, you're going to have an informed decision. And it's not about, again, showing your board of director members that have zero to none credibility or experience to say we're attracting the youth, we want the youth to take over. Correct, of course, we all want the youth to take over, but right now the situation of the Hellenic community of Greater Montreal is you have started, Doctor, under your presidency, you have started something great and you want to see it to fruition. And we want to really turn everything into the positive. We need to do that. We can't be in the discovery phase or in the infancy stage, I would say, of questioning. We're trying to understand things. We need to make things happen. We need execution. I'm a corporate executive in banking and wealth management, and it's all about execution. But the execution is only as rich as the diverse mindset of the experienced board of director members and diverse board of director members that you have amalgamated under Anagenesis 2.0. So with that, Dr.
We should discuss that. Who's in
it?
Maybe we should just spend 2 minutes to say who's in our team.
We will, but I just want Dr. Oresti to finish on the ballot. So if I'm a nervous, individual and I'm going,
okay, Stella, let me tell you.
Yes.
Let me tell you how it works. So the morning of the morning of when you show up to cast your vote, you're going to see all the different groups outside handing out pamphlets. Okay.
Correct.
Now, why is this important? because if you just show up there and say, let's say, oh, you say, I want to vote for Dr. George Tsoukas, the current president,
Yes.
and you just check off his name, well, you haven't cast your vote properly, okay? On the central board, I believe there are 27 or 24, 27,
24.
24, thank you. And there are 9 in the regionals that you get to vote for, okay? So the way it works is
Regional Laval and South Shore
And Montreal.
and Montreal. For the people that, okay, yeah.
So it's mind-boggling, and we have to change this eventually. It's mind-boggling because you're voting for 50 people, you know, but you still have to tick the list off.
So the way it works, Stella, is that when you show up to vote, they'll give you the ballot, and on there you'll have a list in alphabetical order of all the candidates. So the list is yay long. It's there could be 100 names on there. And the way it works is you just go down and you tick off, let's say Dr. Philip Tsoukas, number 46. So you check him off, and then Dr. Kimon Nisihonis, number 37. You check him off, and basically you want to ensure that you vote for the entire team. Why? Because you don't want to have a split vote. If you have a split vote, you're just asking for trouble. If you're going to vote to half of the other team and half of Team ANAGENESIS 2.0, well, then we're no further ahead. If we want to bring real change and see through with everything that we've started, we have to get all the members of Team ANAGENESIS 2.0 voted in at the same time. So okay, I cannot stress this more.
This is so important. So please vote for all the candidates of Team ANAGENESIS. Now, you're going to ask, well, how will I know? So as Dr. Oresti Tsoukas mentioned, if you all look behind over here, so this is Team ANAGENESIS right here. We're going to have a pamphlet made with this beautiful yellow flower, and you're going to have a list of all our names. So please take that. Okay, it's gonna be, we actually have a on Facebook. All the board of director candidates are gonna be mentioned. Okay, so if you don't come on May 21st, which I highly recommend you come on May 21st, whether you're pro ANAGENESIS or still you're not undecided, please come and you're going to make an informed decision. So you're going to be handed on May 21st that pamphlet with all the board of director members on Team ANAGENESIS that you should be voting for, and the day of, we're gonna have volunteers again giving these pamphlets out with everyone's name. We have a Facebook page and we have an Instagram page for Team ANAGENESIS for those that are very active on social media. You will have access to all the names, but please, don't just vote for Stella Tsarnas and Oresti Tsoukas and Dr. George Tsoukas and Dr. Philip Tsoukas because we're all in the T's, right? We have amazing individuals that are getting, like Dr. Oresti said, alphabetical. You will know who they are. And Dr. Tsoukas, Dr. George Tsoukas, if you can just mention, and both of you, some of the members, some of the board of director candidates, just a few of them.
Before we do that, για τους πιο ηλικιωμένους που διαβάζουν τις ελληνικές εφημερίδες, θα έχουμε μια λίστα από όλα τα μέλη της αναγέννησης δικής μας. Μπορείτε να κόψετε τη σελίδα της εφημερίδας, να την πάρετε μαζί σας και όταν θα ψηφίσετε, να ψηφίσετε για όλους, όχι για 1, 2, 3, 5. Πρέπει να ψηφίσετε για 30. Βλέπετε τα ονόματα της αναγέννησης και σε εκεί που θα είναι η λίστα που ψηφίζετε, θα βάζετε δίπλα το όνομα και ψηφίζετε. Αλλιώς δεν πρόκειται η ομάδα να μπει μέσα σύσσωμη και να μπορούμε να κάνουμε αυτά που λέμε. Γιατί εμείς θέλουμε, έχουμε ωραίο πρόγραμμα όπως ακούσατε, θέλουμε και τους νέους και τους γέρους υποστηρίξουμε, αλλά αν δεν ψηφίσετε σωστά, δεν πρόκειται να γίνει αυτό.
Σωστά. Λοιπόν, θα ξεκινήσουμε. Πρόεδρε, αν θέλετε να μας πείτε μερικά ονόματα, if you like to say a couple names.
Θα σας πω τους γιατρούς, γιατί έχουμε γιατρούς μέσα. Γιατροί θέλουν να βοηθήσουν για αυτά που είπαμε. The doctors involved are out not to show up, because you know how busy doctors are, Stella, and one of the problems
I know. Yeah.
Dr. Vicky Batters was saying, listen, we can't, because the other team was filibustering us and keeping us till midnight. You know, doctors have to be up doing colonoscopies in the morning and all this. So she would leave like at 10 o'clock, she was out and people were still arguing. So έχουμε γιατρούς όπως τον εαυτό μου. Όταν πήγα εγώ και κάλεσα την νεολαία, οι πρώτοι που ήρθαν ήταν οι γη μου, λένε ξέρουμε τι θέλεις πατέρα, ξέρουμε ότι δουλεύεις σκληρά, ξέρουμε ότι έχεις δώσει αίμα και είδωρ για όλη αυτή την υπόθεση και θα υποστηρίξουμε. So I have
That's amazing.
My son's Ορέστη που είναι εδώ και ο Ορέστης δεν είναι ένας απλός γιατρός, είναι από τους καλύτερους. Αν κοιτάξεις στο Google ποιος είναι ο καλύτερος γιατρός στο Μόντρεαλ, λένε ότι είναι ο Ορέστης. Λοιπόν, έχουμε τον Ορέστη, έχουμε τον Μιχάλη, τον γιο μου που είναι καθηγητής στο McGill, έχουμε τον Φίλιππα, έχουμε έναν άλλον ο οποίος είναι γεροντολόγος, λέγεται Κίμων Ισηγόνης.
Ναι.
Έχουμε την κυρία Μπάφη, η οποία δεν θα μπει στο ballot box, αλλά θα συνεχίσει να υποστηρίζει, γιατί τώρα έχει ξεχωρίσει αυτή τα social services, και έτσι είμαστε 6 γιατροί. Εσύ, για πες μας για ποιοι είναι μέσα οι τραπεζίτες, γιατί δεν έχουμε μόνο γιατρούς που θα κοιτάξουν να φτιάξουμε την κλινική και το...
Έχουμε πάρα πολλούς. Λοιπόν, ξεκινώ με τον εαυτό μου. I'll start with myself, Stella Tsarnas. Έχουμε τον Λούι Βουλουμάνο, έχουμε τον Μάριο Μαμουλίδης, έχουμε τον Γιώργο Κιμπάρη.
Εξαίρετη, γνωστή και εξαίρετη.
Ναι, έχουμε τον Γιώργο Κιμπάρης, έχουμε τον Γιώργο Δέμος, έχουμε τον Νίκο Μαντόπολος, έχουμε την Αφροδίτη Παπαϊουνίου, τη Τζοάν Παρασχής, and the list just goes on and on and on, right? So, I mean, έχουμε πάρα πολλούς. Έχουμε και τη Γιασμίν Λούρας, που είναι, she's a lawyer. Έχουμε την Μαρία Πίσχος, executive HR στο Air Canada, vice president as well. Ναι, ωραία.
Και πολλούς άλλους γνωστούς. Έχουμε τον professor Αθιανίτη,
ναι,
που είναι μεγάλος professor in building engineering.
Την κυρία Όλγα Ράμζη.
Την κυρία Όλγα
Ράμζη. Όλγα ήταν μεγάλος τέλος σε μια μεγάλη φαρμακευτική εταιρεία. Very knowledgeable how to run companies. Έχουμε το professor Πούλης και αυτός είναι professor of
software engineering.
Έχουμε και τους παλιούς μας, να μην ξεχάσουμε και τον κύριο Σμυρνιό, τον δικηγόρο.
Ναι, τον κύριο Σμυρνιό.
Και τον Νίκο το Φούντα. Και έχουμε και ένα άλλο ξέρωτο που είναι στην Κωνσταντινούπολη τώρα, τον κύριο Κομβόπουλο. Έχουμε τους καλύτερους από τους καλύτερους.
Έχουμε τη Μάρθα Κοτσορνήθης. Κοιτάω τα πρώτα ονόματα. Έχουμε και τη κυρία Ηλιάδης, που είναι Dean στο Concordia University, Ηλιάδα Αθηνίτης. Έχουμε πάρα πολλούς. Έχουμε τον Τζέρι Ξένος, έχουμε τον Ανδρέας Καραμπάτους που ξέρετε. Έχουμε επίσης και τον Γιώργο Καλόγρια από το Σοβλάκι. Ναι, έχουμε
Λοιπόν, εμείς δεν κάνουμε ανακύκλωση από ανθρώπους που ήταν εκεί 20 και 30 και κάναν όλα αυτά τα λάθη.
Ναι.
Έχουμε νέους με καθαρό μυαλό, οι οποίοι θα πάνε την κοινότητά μας μπροστά με δύναμη και αποφασιστικότητα. So, I don't know if you understand what I said.
I want to say, Doctor, something.
We have to move forward. We already started running our marathon. We're in the middle of a marathon. We have to finish the marathon.
Because the marathon, I always like, and when I would, with all of my teams, I would say, you know what? We are living in sprints. So life is a marathon, but the marathon is comprised of sprints. So you need to win every sprint in order to conclude and finish the marathon. If the sprints are cut midway through, then you're not gonna finish the marathon, right? We need to be in there for the long haul, for the long stretch. And Dr. George Tsoukas, one other thing I'm going to say that I heard that the people are saying, Dr. George Tsoukas lost all his board of director members, and now he had to get new ones because the ones that he had didn't want to follow him. This is what I heard, and I was so aggravated. And I said, well, no, that's not the case. The case is this is 2.0. So everyone can see that it's 2.0. This is a new energy. Καινούρια ενέργεια. Καινούρια passion, genurio passion ta feri brosta iomata, but we also have individuals that were with Team ANAGENESIS 1.0 that are still part of Team ANAGENESIS,
Stella,
coupled with the
Stella,
new ones.
let me
Yeah,
tell you, I'll give you an example. We had a beautiful lady like you who came and she was the face of ANAGENESIS, a psychologist,
yeah,
who they cursed and shouted at, and she could not take this anymore. She's a volunteer. She said, I can't be coming there and every night there's fights and filibustering and they're there till midnight. She says, I'm sorry, I gotta go. People like that. And then there was another group of a few people who said, listen, you have to take out the criminals and put them to court. What we did, we found some people stealing and we went to the police. Now, some people say we didn't go to the police, we went to the police. So the police, though, think they've got major other crimes to deal with. Our crimes are not major. And eventually, the people that were, and this is where Jerry Xenos and Andres Carabatos come in, they were
correct.
checking everything. Suddenly, areas where we're not making money because of what they did suddenly were productive. So I think, that people suddenly realize they cannot get away with murder.
Yes.
And this is, this thing is going to end. And these people were basically the major person who did this was the right hand of and they appear still in the photographs of Tinkinotita. So we don't want to deal with people like that, and eventually they're going to be held responsible, and the police will be there. Our team, nobody in our team has ever gone bankrupt.
Zero.
Nobody in our team was in front of a judge.
Zero.
We're as clean as they can come, especially the doctors. We're giving our life to help promote society.
Yes.
And the bankers and all this, we're all going to go through a police, file
A
report,
background check.
and we're all going to be clean. And this is what we're proud of, okay?
Yes.
We're
Yes.
proud of the fact that we never sat in front of a judge, especially this new team that we have. And people should understand what we're saying.
Thank you.
And the mudslinging has to stop because enough's enough. Okay,
Enough's
after
enough.
a while, you can't take the mudslinging anymore.
Yeah, enough's
They
enough.
think we're going to bankrupt the community. They better think wise. They had bankrupt the community years ago. We're pushing the community forward and having governments behind us doing this. So in order to even go further ahead, we need you listening here to come and give us a hand. Please come and help us. By helping us, you're not helping me personally or Stella, you're helping our community, you're helping our future, you're helping Hellenism move forward, and we have one of the best cultures the world has ever seen. Our language,
Agreed.
religion, our food, our way of living, our dancing, the way we live is just incredible, and we should continue along this road, especially in you who are listening here, who are relatively young and have your life ahead of you.
Please come and vote for Team ANAGENESIS on June 8th. All the information can be found on www.hcgm.org. When you go under the elections tab, click, all the information is there. And I guess in closing, the way I see it, for me, I really want us to have a majority on the board of directors from Team ANAGENESIS because of the fact that we do want, look, even amongst us, Team ANAGENESIS, it doesn't mean that we're always going to be agreeing. But the difference is we're going to respect one another and we're going to have harmony. And the beauty of some of the best decisions that come out is when there is sometimes people questioning, oh, maybe, you know what, maybe I should vote for this because of this reason, or maybe I shouldn't because this is what I believe. And the moment we have harmonious, a harmonious difference in opinions, that's the beauty. Because then when we know when a decision is taken, it's the right decision and we all feel comfortable. But when toxicity comes into play and we have, because there's people on the opposition that are very harmonious and that I know that I can personally work with and that we can all work with as well. But we want the majority government, as we say it, or the majority of Team ANAGENESIS. We want Team ANAGENESIS to be the face for the next 3 years, and then and on and going and going. So closing thoughts. Let's start with you, Dr. Oresti.
So just to further what you just mentioned,
And I apologize, my dog is barking, but this is the podcast, so I apologize.
that's fine.
Just ignore.
So, when I first joined the board of directors, I was a little bit naive. I was naive to think that we're all here looking to embetter our Greek community. What I found was that there was a whole lot of ego. That's the best term, Stella. There was a
Yes.
lot of ego in that room. People looking
And
for
who are you to
people
come and tell me to change something?
Exactly. People looking for glory, people looking out for themselves, not for the greater good of our community. And if you really want to continue the change that we've made so far and see through the projects that we've started and worked so hard, to get funding for federal grants, etc., please vote for Team ANAGENESIS 2.0. It's
Yes.
imperative that you vote the entire team so that we have a unanimous board, like-minded individuals with very little ego, Stella.
Yes.
People that are genuinely looking for the good of and the progress of our community.
And this is benevola, right? We're doing it on a volunteer basis, but we're doing it because we care about the community and we want to see it move forward, right? And we want to use all our life experience and bring it to the table and really show how vulnerable we are as well, and to wanting to see the Kinoteta move forward. So thank you for that, Dr. Oresti Tsoukas. And Dr. President Tsoukas, the closing words, please.
Well, I think we've said it all along, but just to reiterate, we've elevated our community to a great height. We're respected by governments, we're getting grants, and we are now getting a lot of interest with the youth and
Yes.
people in their midlives. So if people want their children to go forward, if people want the care of the elderly,
Yes.
people want us to go forward. We've started a major change. We're going forward, and we want everybody to help us. We all have to work together as a huge team, as one community, to move forward and go to greater levels.
I absolutely I love that and I admire that. Thank you so much. So listen, I hope and I believe with my whole heart and with my all sincerity that people listening to this and watching this will be voting for Team ANAGENESIS. And please vote for all the members of Team ANAGENESIS, because we all have we have something different to bring to the table. I personally have so many ideas that I want to bring to the table, but obviously we need to pace ourselves, and and this is what experience, where experience comes into hand, right? If you have ideas, you need to pace yourself. You need to think strategically, methodically, cost efficient wise. What's going to be okay if we go through this project with that, project ABCD example? What is going to be the ROI, the return on the investment? What's the cost effective analysis? That all these things have to be done and taken into consideration. We can't just say we're not going to vote. We're going to vote for something or not going to vote for something because you don't like someone. There has to be a substantial and concrete rationale behind the voting. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what you're going to be expecting from Team ANAGENESIS 2.0, genuine transparency. And I'm going to end the podcast by saying integrity first and foremost. We lead with integrity, we communicate with integrity, and everything you see will be led with integrity.
Don't forget to come on the 21st. Remind
the 21st, yes. And Doctor, are you going to be doing a little Zebekiko for everyone?
We'll do anything. As long as everybody comes, we'll have nice music, we'll have wine and cheese.
Yes.
We're all gonna laugh and dance maybe a little bit, and then show people what it is to have a great team like we have, moving our community forward. So please come. May 21st, Wednesday at the Palace Reception Hall.
At 6:30, and the official meeting is only going to last 2 hours, so we're going to be very, very strict to the 2 hour, and we're going to have a PowerPoint. You're going to meet the board of director members, and the last portion obviously is your voice matters, so please come ready with your questions. Σας αγαπούμε πάρα πολύ. Καλημέρα.
My name is
Όλη
Costa
μέρα.
Eleni. Please come. Koala Costas Eleni should come. It's
Κωνσταντίνε, and maybe we can get Κωνσταντίνο Αργυρός to come too. I'm a big fan. Η Ελένης, yes, θα σας γιορτάσουμε εκείνη την ημέρα, and you know what, doctor, to both of you, God bless you both. I would not be running as a board of director candidate if it wasn't for obviously the two of you and also the other board of director candidates that we are going to be working alongside. So από τα βάθη της καρδιάς μου, σας ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ και τους δυο σας. You took time out of your busy schedule. And I know Oresti was working today, and he actually had to, he right after his last patient, he bolted to try to come and make this podcast. So I thank both of you. Key dates, May 21st, another key date, June 8th. When in doubt, please, you can DM me. I'm on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. You can DM the Team ANAGENESIS group or there as well. And please also go on the hcgm.org site, and all the information is there. So thank you so much. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend, okay? Φιλάκια.
Bye.
Bye.